So in this video here, I showed you how to make the corner to corner pattern using crochet stitches to create a square. I've had quite a few requests on Facebook and on Instagram saying, well, that's all well and good if you want something that's square, if you're wanting a square blanket or a cushion, but what if you want a rectangle? Today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do the rectangle. And one small disclaimer, I'm going to assume that you have watched this video and you know how the corner to corner actually works. So it is slightly faster because I just want to show people how to create the rectangle shape. If you're interested in doing corner to corner and you've not done it before, can I suggest you go up into the cards and you follow this video here just to get an idea of how to actually do the corner to corner pattern. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial, you're going to need your yarn. I'm using Stylecraft Aran in Lemon. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a needle for sewing in your ends and a crochet hook. I'm using a 5mm hook, which is a good size to use for an Aran knit. You're also going to need a stitch marker. Now you may have ones that look like this, or you may have some fancier ones. These came free with the magazine, so it's always worth looking to see what freebies you get with magazines to see if it's something that you would like, because sometimes it can actually be worth the price of the magazine to actually buy it just for the freebies. Sometimes not, sometimes the freebies are a bit, I'm not sure what I'd do with that. Or you could just use a paper clip or a safety pin, or you could just use a different coloured piece of yarn just to help you mark out where you need to be. So in this video here, I showed you how to make a square of corner to corner. But what if you want to make a rectangle? So that's what I'm going to show you in this tutorial today, is how to make this from a square into a rectangle. So I'm going to take my yarn and my hook and I'm going to make a slip knot. Now I will assume that you have watched the previous video. I'll put a link in the cards just to make sure. If you've seen the previous video, you will find there is a slower version of how to do the basic pattern. This is really just a tutorial to show you how you can do it into a rectangle rather than just a square. So if you wanted to make a scarf or a table runner or something like that. So I've made a slip knot. I'm going to do my 6 chain. I'm going to do my treble into the fourth chain from the hook. And I'm going to treble in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. I have my first square. I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to chain 6. I'm currently increasing, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Treble in the 4th from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. As I say, I'm assuming that you have mastered the treble stitch. If you haven't, I'll put a link in the cards where you can watch a video on how to do all of my beginner stitchings, and the treble stitch is one of those videos. It'll also show you how to chain, how to do slip stitches, how to hold your hook and your yarn, and all the things that you might need as a beginner crocheter. So I'm going to join to this square now. So at the moment it looks like this. I need it to look like that. So I'm going to find that gap. Remember, there are 3 gaps between these trebles. So I'm going to insert my hook into the 3rd gap, pull my yarn through, and then pull through into a slip knot. I'm going to chain 3 and I'm going to make 3 trebles into that same space that I did the slip knot. Going to turn my work. I'm still increasing, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, fourth chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, treble in the next stitch, treble in the next stitch. There's a bit of fluff there where the yarn hasn't quite joined up. I'm just going to snip that bit of fluff off there just so it doesn't cause me issues later on. There we go. It's just where a little bit of yarn has actually got caught around. I haven't actually cut any of the actual yarn that I'm working with there. Insert to straighten this out, make a slip stitch, chain 3, 3 trebles, one, 2 and 3, slip stitch to join to this square here, so in that last gap, 1, 2, 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. So I'm going to make mine 5 wide. So I'm going to do another 2 rows. So pause the video now and make it your piece as wide as you want it, not as high as you want it, because obviously we're going into a rectangle. So make it as wide as you want it. If you want to follow me with just making a sample piece, I'll be going to 5 rows. So pause the video now and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so I now have 4 of my rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Just come to the end of the 5th row. Now don't forget, if you're wanting it 5 rows wide, you must do this 5th square in the bottom. So chain 3, do your 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. So I want my piece to be 5 wide, but I want it to be much taller. So I'm going to stop increasing now. So as normally I would just keep going with the corner to corner and you just keep getting wider and wider. I want to stop getting wide, but I want to continue getting taller. So I'm going to start with what we would do as a decrease. So I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to do my slip stitches into these gaps here. So 3 slip stitches, 1, 2 and 3. And here's where your stitch marker comes in. So I'm going to pop my stitch marker in here just to remind me when I get to the end of this row coming back down that I don't want to increase into this square here. I'm going to be stopping. Just in case, it's really easy, especially if you're watching television or you're listening to an audiobook and you're just sort of getting into the flow of the stitches. It's really easy to forget where you are and what you're doing. So that's just a nice little reminder. And also I try to use crochet slip stitches, no, that's not the word I'm looking for, stitch markers in a contrasting colour so that you don't end up completely missing it because it's the same colour. Equally, if you're going to be using a piece of yarn, you could just thread a piece of yarn through in a contrasting colour so that you would see it. Okay, so I've done my slip stitch in here. Now I'm going to do my chain 3 and my 3 trebles. Whoops, maybe not. So 1 and 2 and 3. I need to join that square round, so slip stitch into here, chain 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. Do my slip stitch into here, 1, 2, 3 chains, and then your 3 trebles. Sorry about the tapping, it's my stitch marker tapping the table. So that one again, so 1 treble, 2 trebles and 3 trebles, slip stitch into here, 1, 2, 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, and then going into this top square up here, slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Like I said, if I am going too quick, there is a video where I show you exactly how to do this stitch in a much slower pace. This I'm assuming that you have done the corner to corner tutorial and that you are fully up to date with how to do it, and you know where you are and what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to turn my work. Now remember, we've stopped doing our increases here, but we want to continue increasing here. So we still need to do our 6 chains to increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 trebles, and then join up to this square here by going into that last gap with your slip stitch, chain 3, and then continue working your pattern all the way down until you get to the end. I was about to do 4 then, too busy talking. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into here, 3 chain, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. Then we're going into this gap here again, going into this gap here, so slip stitch, 1, 2 and 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into the gap here, 1, 2, 3, and I'll just show you how we're doing that decrease again. So that's 1 treble, 2 trebles and 3 trebles. So we don't want to go any bigger, and if you want to, you can move the stitch marker up each time just to remind you. So I'm going into this gap here, so I'm going to insert and do my slip stitch. I'm not going to increase, I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to do my slip stitches into those 3 gaps. So 1, 2 and 3. Then I'm going to do my 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do my 3 trebles. So you continue going, not decreasing on this side and increasing on the other side until you get to the height that you want. And when you've got to the height that you want, join me and I will show you how we're going to do our decreases. So pause the video now and I will see you in a moment. So I've decided that I have my piece 5 squares wide and 9 high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm coming up to the top here, so I'm going to slip stitch in here, chain 3, 1, treble 2, trebles, 3 trebles, and I'm going to join to the top of that one there. Now I don't want to increase anymore, that is the size of the triangle I want. So I'm going to turn my work and we're going to decrease in exactly the same way as we have done in all the other decreases we've done. We're going to slip stitch into those 3 gaps, then we're going to chain 3, then we're going to do our 3 I'm going to take the stitch marker out because it's actually starting to annoy me. I'm going to take our 3 trebles, so 3 chain, 1 treble, 2 trebles, 3 trebles, go to the next square, go into the gap, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, and we just continue going down the row in exactly the same way until we get to our last stitch, which is this one here. So 3 trebles, and then we want to join that up. Again, we're not increasing, so we're not chaining, we're going to turn and we're going into our gaps. So I'm going to treble into here, I'm going to slip stitch between those trebles, slip stitch in the next one, slip stitch in the next one, and chain 3. So you continue going now, pause the video and continue going until you get to your last square. So I'm just coming up to my last square now, so I'm going to do my final decrease slip stitches into these gaps here. I'm going to do my chain 3, 2, 3, my 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, and then I'm going to do my slip stitch into that square there, and then I'm going to finish off by pulling my yarn through, taking my scissors and cutting off those ends. So there you have a rectangle of corner to corner, and what you could do is actually piece together and make a sort of patchwork of different squares and different sized rectangle pieces. It'd be a great way to be a stash buster, to use up some of your leftover yarn that you might have. So what did we do? So we did our normal corner to corner till we got the width that we wanted. Then we stopped increasing when we came to this row here, and we did our decrease, but when we went back up we did an increase. Come back down, did a decrease, go back up, you do an increase, and then when we got to the top here we did our normal decrease as you would have done when you were decreasing on a square. So that's how to do a rectangle of corner to corner. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!